Revelation chapter 16, we'll begin at verse 10. We'll read down through verse 14. They go back and cover that section tonight. Revelation 16:10, and the fifth angel poured out his vial upon the seat of the beast, and his kingdom was full of darkness, and they gnawed their tongues for pain, and blasphemed the God of heaven because of their pains and their sores, and repented not of their deeds. And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates. The water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. And I saw three unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. For they are the spirits of devils, working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world, to gather them to the battle of the great day of God Almighty. Verse 10 says, and the fifth angel poured out his vial upon the seat of the beast, and his kingdom was full of darkness, and they gnawed their tongues for pain. Again, this section nearing the end of the tribulation, in its last year, possibly even the last 6 months of the tribulation, these events are unfolding. And this same phenomenon occurred back in the book of Exodus, where it was dark in all the dwellings of the Egyptians, except in those of the children of Israel. You read about that in Exodus chapter 10. In verse 10 also indicates the work of Moses, who will be returning with Elijah as one of the two witnesses we read about back in chapter 11. Turning water, they turn water to blood and darkness on the earth. It says also in verse 10, the seat of the beast. This is the place where the beast sits. Notice back in Revelation chapter 2. Revelation 2 and verse 13 says, I know thy works, and where thou dwellest, even where Satan's seat is. Thou holdest fast my name, and hast not denied my faith, even in those days wherein Antipas was my faithful martyr, who was slain among you where Satan dwelleth. But Revelation 16, 10 says the seat of the beast. It's located in Rome, if you want to know the location, called the Papal Chair, for lack of for clarity's sake. St. Peter's throne, St. Peter's chair. The expression that the Pope makes some declaration ex cathedra means out of the chair, from the chair of St. Peter, or from the chair of the seat of his presumed authority. And let me read to you what a few major Protestant founders said in their day about the alleged authority of the Roman Pope. Martin Luther, he says, we here are of the conviction that the papacy is the seat of the true and real Antichrist. Personally, I declare that I owe the Pope no other obedience than that to Antichrist. That was on August 18, 1520. He said that. Another Protestant founder named Thomas Cranmer, early preacher in the Anglican Church. You know, the Anglican Church, the Church of England, it started when Henry VIII, in those days, all the monarchs of Europe, in France and England, and Germany, Spain, all owed their allegiance to the Pope. And the Pope was their head. They saw no division between church and state. And the church and the state were both combined, and if one church controlled the masses, then that same church also controlled the state, the political government affairs. There is no church and state separation within Roman Catholicism. The Vatican, the city of Vatican State, is the headquarters members of the world's largest religion, but it is also a separate country. It's the world's smallest actual country. Guinness Book of World Records documents this. The city of that, or the state of Vatican City, I think is the actual title. It is an actual country, nation state. They have a papal nuncio, a representative at the United Nations, just the way every other nation does. On 100 acres within the city limits of Rome, Italy, sits the smallest actual separate independent nation on earth. Once a citizen of Rome goes on to Vatican property, he has now crossed into a foreign country. By the way, that small country has the highest crime rate of any country in the world. You didn't know that. Now, a lot of it's petty theft and pickpocketing because they have so many tourists coming through there. But that's crime. Crime is crime. And they have the highest crime rate per capita of any nation on earth. They also have the highest consumption of alcohol per capita of any nation on the earth. They only have about 800 or 900 full-time residents who live at the Vatican. But every Roman Catholic, by virtue of their official baptism in the Catholic Church, is an automatic citizen of that foreign government, that foreign country. Now, he might not reside there, but on paper, for their statistical purposes, he is a citizen of that foreign country. And that's why the representative of the United Nations, he's not there representing just the interests of the 800 or 900 people who live at the Vatican. He's there to look after the interests of Roman Catholic people wherever they may live around the world. Their identity as a Catholic is supposed to supersede their citizenship in whatever country they happen to be living in. But in the 1500s and 1400s, Henry VIII, who was unable to get a divorce granted to him by the Pope. The Pope was the only monarch in the world who was higher than he was. And so he said, well, I'm going to start my own religion. I'll start my own church, and I'll be the head of it. And I'll decide who gets married, who doesn't get married, and so forth and so on. But because all he knew was Catholicism, the Anglican Church, the Church of England, here in America we call them Episcopalians, but the Church of England bears so much similarity to Roman Catholicism because that's all Henry VIII knew when he started it. But the Church of England technically is headed by the monarch who sits on the throne. The Queen of England right now is technically the head of the Church of England. And we're all Anglicans, all Episcopalians around the world. Now, she delegates this responsibility to the Archbishop of Canterbury and lets him run the religious matters, but technically the monarch is his superior. And I often thought that was strange. You know, Princess Diana died and the world watched her funeral on television about 10, 12 years ago. And I was thinking at the time when her children went to the service, if it dawned on them that Grandma is the head of this church. I wonder if they ever think of it in those terms. But technically, that's the case. And so the Church of England patterned itself so much after Catholicism because that's all Henry VIII knew. But he said, I'll start my own religion, and I'll be the head of it and won't have to answer to anyone higher than myself. Well, time went on, and just that slight little separation from Roman Catholicism gave Anglican ministers, Anglican clergy, they have seminaries, they have convents and nuns and confessionals and most everything the Catholic Church does, but it gave them a more opportunity to study the Scriptures than they would have had if they'd still been part of Catholicism. And that little opportunity, that little open window, eventually gave to the world until they realized religion itself is not enough. But in those days, the Anglicans, or the Church of England leaders, began to see the Pope and the papacy in an entirely different light. Once that church had separated itself from Catholicism, Thomas Cranmer, one of the early Anglicans, said, "Whereof it followeth Rome to be the seat of Antichrist, and the Pope to be very Antichrist himself. I could prove the same by many other scriptures, old writers, and strong reasons." A congregational theologian named Cotton Mather said, "The oracles of God foretold the rising of an Antichrist in the Christian church, and in the Pope of Rome, all the characteristics of that Antichrist are so marvelously answered that if any who read the Scriptures do not see it, there is a marvelous blindness upon them." And John Wesley, the founder of the Methodist Church later on, speaking of the papacy, said, "He is in an emphatical sense the man of sin, as he increases all manner of sin above measure. And he is, too, properly styled the son of perdition, as he has caused the death of numberless multitudes, both of his opposers and followers. He it is that exalted himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, claiming the highest power and highest honor, claiming the prerogatives which belong to God alone." And now that's enough examples to make the point that seat of the beast, the place where the beast sits, I believe is going to be headquartered at Rome, Italy. That is the most convincing interpretation of the beast, the Antichrist, the false prophet, the harlot church, all of those things given to us in the Scriptures, in the book of Revelation. There has never been a more convincing, or in my mind, compelling fulfillment of those things than in the rise of the Roman Catholic religion. It's amazing to me that anyone uses Catholic and Christian in the same phrase. The Catholics want to use it as, but you know what, we were passing out tracts up here. Let's see, Jack's Market's not up there anymore. Is it? They moved over to Euclid Avenue. Oh, is it still up there? Is another location? Okay. We're up there passing out tracts one night. People were coming out, and I went to hand a Spanish tract to a lady coming out of the store, and I asked if she was a Christian. She said, "No, I'm not a Christian. I'm a Catholic." She knew there was a difference. They understood. Common Catholic hears the word Christian, and he immediately thinks a non-Catholic. He doesn't think, I'm a Christian too. That's just playing games with words that their church has been trying to do for the last 20 years, 25 years, to say, well, we're Christians too. We're Catholic Christians and then Protestant Christians, and we're all Christians of just a different stripe. But the proof is in the pudding. By their works ye shall know them. And a good tree bringeth forth good fruit, a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit, Lord Jesus said. And I'll grant you that sometimes good fruit that comes from a good tree can go rotten. That's happened many, many times among real believers and real Christians. I don't doubt that takes place more often than it should. But lasting fruit, and real lasting fruit, that brings forth, a tree that brings forth good